Hey guys, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. So I just want to jump on and do another little clip from the reading, the channel, the book, the way through the I Am series. And just going through this little clip, it starts off here in this part that I was channeling over the week. Um, it says, "It is that which isn't, that is by itself, that which is in every moment, which is a fraction of itself, which is like a second of your life." So um, it's basically going into talking about, how we have every moment of our lives, which is every fraction. It's in like millimeters, centimeters, whatever, however you want to describe it. It's like very down to the very second moment of time that we have a choice to make, and from there we're always being renewed within that moment. So we have many, 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 many opportunities in life to make changes in our lives. Um, but a lot of times we don't think about it. And, like if we continue to be in that space instead of being in the present moment where you have those opportunities, you continue to bring on the past, right? Where we're continually living in the past, bringing that forward, right? So it's in every moment, that we get an opportunity to make a change and choice in our life, right? So that's basically kind of what it's saying. Thereby to take a moment to be that which you are being, not that which isn't, which is to that which is being of itself, wherever it is that you are. So are you in alignment with truth? Are you in alignment with your false being, source, God, your higher self, uh, wherever it is that you're being in the present moment, right? So, and when we're talking about present moment, it's like, what are we in the present moment of? Are we in a present moment of truth or false, right? Because you can have both in the present moment. Are we seeing of the illusion or the delusion, or through the illusion and delusion, right? And that's just where we're coming from through our eyes, our scope of being, right? And where are we being from, which we want to get past what we're seeing, because whatever we're seeing in the moment is what's happening, whether we're in a delusion or not. We want to step back beyond that, because when we get back beyond that, we can see who we are when we look at it from that perspective. Okay, so who's seeing it from this perspective? Question, who am I being that I'm seeing from this illusion or through the delusion, right? Am I seeing from my perspective or source perspective about the situation? So it's taking a step back from the situation or the scenario in your life, right? Basically. Um, Thereby to take a moment to be that which you are being, not that which isn't, which is to it, that which is being of itself. Thereby it is that which is being one to that it is practicing or practiced, right? So whatever we're being, we're actually practicing it without really practicing it, without knowing it. So if we're constantly in the past, which is the shadows of yesterday, in the present moment, which is actually the shadow, right? We're in the shadow and we're not in our present moment. So we're either in the shadow or we're in the light, right? Which is dark and the light, which is the past or the present, and it's what we're practicing, right? So what are we creating? Because when we're of the past and we're suffering, or whatever it is happening, in the moment is being practiced, whether we realize it or not. Because if we're still doing it, reliving it, that's practice, right? Thereby it is that which is being one to that is of itself, to that which is being or is not being of source, which is the relation, not the related, right? Again, we're related to everything else around us, which is a situation delusion. We're in relation to source, right? Thereby the one two. Thereby it is that which you are tied to, that you are being of in the moment. So whatever it is that you're being of in the moment, you're being tied to. So a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people, but some people may, like Buddhism, they kind of share that as like an attachment, right? So you are tied to that, to what you're going through. Thereby you may have many moments to be of it, to that which is choice. It's either true or false, right? So whatever is in that moment, you get to choose, right? What am I experiencing? And it's just having the awareness that, anything that's not love is not real. And when we have that awareness and that ability to bring that into whatever our life situations are that we're suffering from, we're able to make a different choice. Okay, this isn't love, so I'm going to choose something different, right? It's just being present with yourself. But we have many, many moments in our lives that it's not just one life and you're done and that's your choice for forever, right? It's in every moment that you have a new moment, new second, new fraction of a moment in your life to make a decision, something different, choose something different. Because when you make a different choice, you're set off on a different path, right? And whatever path that you choose, it's what takes you. And so it's like just having that awareness in order to be able to make the choice in your life. I don't like this and I don't want this. And okay, so I'm going to choose something different. Because if you keep choosing the same thing, you're going to end up with the same results, right? Thereby it is not by that which isn't, for you are of it to that which is, that is being born every moment. So you're being rebirthed. In every moment, you are being rebirthed, and you may not know it, and you may not be aware of it, but you're being rebirthed into that moment of decision, that choice that you're making. And then a lot of times, like when we keep making the same choices, um, you might start experiencing, things getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse because you're making the same choices, right? And that's the universe's way of saying, hey, hello. you know if you're not able or aware to make your own decisions or choices, the universe steps in a sort of way, you know what I mean? And so it navigates you to where you're kind of forced into making a different choice, right? Because then the suffering gets so great that you have no other choice but to make a different decision. And that is making the decision from a place of suffering, not bliss, right? So you're kind of making the decision based on force, resistance, ignorance, anything that's not out of love, right? Out of love for yourself, right? And so it's the distance from love that you're making the choice from, which is like a lower vibration, you can see it as, or you're making it from a space of lack. And so from that place, you make another choice. And so whenever you're in that space, it's kind of like going on the path like this, right? Instead of like straight. So from this point when you're making a choice from lack, then you're making another path, and then you go on that path, which is still going to not get you where you are, but it'll get you there. But I want to say it's going to be the long way around, right? So we'll just put it like that. So then, it's like this choice, this choice, this choice. It's like the path, the line, the lineage, right? The choosing in that moment. And you get many, many moments to choose, right, throughout your lifetime. So you're not just one and done. It's not one choice. You have to be with it. You have to stick with it. A lot of people think that, and this is a choice I made, so I have to stay here. No, it's not like that, right? Thereby it is not to be that which isn't, for you are of it to that which is, that is born every moment, thereby the beginning of a new life, right? Thereby meaning you are new in every moment, which is an observance of itself to that which is the choosing of it. So whenever you're making a new choice in life, and you're choosing a new path, and it shifts, and so then you're on the other path and you're observing that path, right? So it's moving into a different direction from the path that you're on. Thereby is by that which is being, that is being by itself, which is its equation. So this equals this to this, and this equals this to this, but sometimes it doesn't add up, right? But it's the equation of what is being created that we may not be aware of, but it's equal to that. So if you're on your path, you don't like it, and you're in a space that you're choosing from in lack, you're going to choose something else that's within the space of lack to be of this path to try and go around. So it's an equation, right? It's equal to where you're making that decision from. So it's not going to make it any better. It's a release of this one, but you're actually still going to be on it, but in a different path, in a different way. So you're still at the same place, right? Thereby it is that which is being nothing for all else is of the self, to that which you see it by, to that which is being one for. For you are of it unto itself only, but you think you are of it unto something else, right? So even though we are changing our path, we may think we're onto something else, but it's where we're choosing it from. Like if we're choosing it from lack, we're choosing a new place in time, in space, or whatever it is that we're creating from the same space, but we think it's different because it's not this one, it's this one. But it's still going to be the same energy, same situation, same experience. This one was, but just from a different perspective, right? So you're not really getting anywhere. You're just choosing a different option that's in the same place, which relieves you from this one temporarily, but you're still taking up from here. And then at some point, it's going to happen again, right? Right, where am I? Thereby it is that which is being nothing, for all else is of the self, to that which you see it by, to that which is being one for. For you are of it unto itself only by, but you think you are of it unto something else. For you are of him, only you don't see it, right? Thereby it is that which is being that is of itself, which is its own being. Thereby it is, because we're only seeing from our own selves, right? Our own perspective, where we are. Thereby it is by its own being that is um, that is that it thinks it is, than that of its knowing, which is little, right? Because in our human self, our personhood, we only know what we know. We can't know anything else other than what we know. And I've talked about this in other clips. Um, and so, like, if we're outside of our human source, being, and we step into source being, which is knowledge, knowing everything, we have more knowledge. So it's not that you're little, as in, you mean nothing, or you don't matter. It's that your knowing is little. You're limited in your knowing, right? Versus where source is. So there's that dimension. Excuse me. This cold weather is getting to the chest and the lungs. Thereby it is by that which is knowing that is all. Thereby it shall, from you, from your point of view, not mine. Mine is representing source, right? Which is of the third person. How it's being read here. Not that it's a third person, because source isn't a person, but it's saying mine, because it's coming through me in channeling. So the wording is from these different perspectives and wording, right? And so thereby it shall, from you, which is your point of view, not mine, right? Okay, so, and you just gotta, when you're reading the book, you just gotta kind of be okay with, how that's worded. So you can get the understanding of it. Thereby it is that which is being, that is the being of its own, or that of source, which is delay him, right? Which is within. You have both choices. You can be your true self in alignment with source. You can be your thought self, which is in alignment with the person, right? Thereby to be a God, or that of source, which is two. Thereby the law of one is in numbers, to that which is being one, that is the offspring, to be that which is of difference, not difference. For you are not different, you're of him, which is made in his likeness, right? Thereby it is the being of one that you are, in your being, to see it from different perspective, which is to be of the truth, or that of which is false. Thereby I live by being source, or myself, to that which is both, from my choosing. I get to choose my experience, because it's been given to us the opportunity to be who we are. And there's nothing wrong with where we are, what we're doing, who we are in our experience, from source perspective, only ours, right? We're our own judgment. So, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be here. None of this would be of creation. It didn't happen for no reason. There's a purpose to everything. Thereby I live by being source, or myself, to that which is both, that is within. Thereby is that which it bees, that is or is not of itself, to that which is being, that is of itself. Thereby is that which is of its own being, to that was its choosing. You're choosing from your own perspective to be that which is or is not of itself, which is within him, is our knowing. So whatever's within us is our own knowing. If we're not in alignment with source, we don't have the higher level of knowing. It's our connection. Are we connected, or are we disconnected? But from the human perspective, we only have of our knowing as we are, right? Because we can't know anything else other than what is for us. Right? A being meaning you have it within you to be of anything. So we have our divine connection, and then we have our connection to ourselves. And that is of the choosing. We have both options, and it's just awareness that we do have that option, that we're not just limited. We can step out of our limitations and be one with Source, and then allow the knowledge of wisdom of Source to come through us, right? It's not saying that we are connected, and we are part of us is Source. That comes because everything comes from the one Source. But in our separation, again, which is from what they show me, is like you have the light, and then you have the different dimensions of light into the darkness, which is the shift in shades of the color in the perspective, the spectrum of light. But also, the further you get from light, the darker it is, because when you don't have light, what do you have? You have dark. It's not that dark represents evil, right? It's you moving away from the lights, and in your darkness, you're disconnected. So you don't have the awareness. The further away you go, you don't have the awareness. You don't have the concepts. You don't have the understanding. It's, and I don't want to say it's lower vibration, but it's the condensed version of yourself that becomes harder in vibration energy. The further away we move, that's condensed in energy and form, right? The vibration. So let's just say a stone is more condensed than a person, right? So I would say that the stone is further away in the lights of its knowledge and wisdom, because everything's intelligence from that which Source is, but it's still an intelligence of its own Source, right? Which is still Source, but it's from a different, it's like different vibrations and energies, right? That it resonates at. We'll kind of just put it that way, to try and make it make sense for you. So everything has a different density and vibration energy as it resonates from, and there's the different layers from the light through the darkness, which darkness is just representing more further away from the light, right? Thereby it is to that which is being in the moment that you are, that has choice in of itself being, meaning it is to that which is being, that is the bringing of life unto itself. So whenever you're choosing, to be where you are in your human form, you are where you are, right? And then whatever you're choosing, if you're choosing to bring Source through, you're being that. It's whatever life you're creating. So it's the bringing of life unto itself, right? And then also on different dimensions, what is it that I'm bringing to life within myself? My my false witness, my beliefs, my circumstance, my victimhood, my suffering. Am I bringing positivity? Am I bringing light, love, abundance to life? Thereby it is that which is in him to which is Source, or that of itself that is related or in relation to. Thereby bring about that which is life unto itself in its own being, which is its suffering or that of its bliss, which I already said. Thereby to be of itself separate is that of one being that isn't, which is mayhem, right? It's confusion. If you're not in alignment, you're disconnecting. And I'm going to talk about this in a different video, about an experience, and so that'll help maybe bring that up together for you. But whenever it's separate is that of the one being that isn't. So like I said, it's mayhem, it's confusion, right? So we don't know, or we get into those situations a lot. We don't know the answer, but we think we do, and so we say it is, or we choose something, and we don't even know if it's true or not. We just think it is, or we believe it is, because it's from our space of being, which is our human form, our consciousness that's human, right? Thereby to take up your own suffering and hang on to it like it's life and not death, right? Thereby to take up your own suffering and hang on to it is not life, or it's death. So like whenever we're choosing something that's not of love, or light or abundance, it's considered death. So whenever we're picking up something, taking something that is not from source, which is life, the further away, and you can feel it, the further away from source we get, the more suffering happens. We get depressed, we don't have any energy, we get down, we get angry, all these emotions, everything comes up, right? Which is, a lot of people think it's duality, but actually there is no duality. That's the law of one. So there's only one of everything, which is from here to there. It's not actually the duality. And I know a lot of people talk about duality, but this book is saying there is no duality, right? And even at one point I thought it was duality, but when I see it from the point of view from what this is talking about and how it's showing, there's no actual duality. It's just something that we refer to from one thing to another because it's not this, so it's this, right? Which is the opposite streams of consciousness. So it's not really duality, it's this from that. But when we're taught in school, hot, cold, we tend to think and believe these are dualities, right? But when I look at it from this point of view, which I've been channeling and getting, there's no duality, if that makes sense. It just appears that way, but there is no duality. There's only one. There's only one of this, there's only one of this, and duality means there's two, which is opposite. But if there's only one, there's only one. There's only one being, there's only one source, right? There's God, gods, which were gods and goddesses, but there's different gods and goddesses on all different levels. So there's only one main source, right? There's different levels of gods, different levels of people, different levels of energy, different levels of everything, right? But it all comes from the one source. So in every being or every god or every person, and gods are just advanced beings, right? They've evolved through the consciousness from the lowest level, which is the chain, right? It's the line of being. And so even in them being a god, they're one to themselves, right? They're one in themselves. They can't be anything more than they are, right? So for instance, I'm Laura and that's Joe, right? So we're not the same. I'm myself, I'm one, and Joe is one, right? So there's only one of everything, right? There's one experience. You might say, oh, well, what about people who have the same experiences, right? So say Martha got divorced to an abusive person and Joe got married to an abusive person, right? Yeah, they both got married to an abusive person, but it happened in a different way. Nothing is ever the same. Nothing is ever the same in maybe the experience or the person. There's always something that's different, even if it's a minute level of difference. There's nothing different, it's only difference. So the way the book explains it, nothing is ever the same, everything is always different. Not different, but there's a minute difference in everything, even though in the closest form of it being, there's always a little shift in consciousness, no matter what it is, right? So nothing is the same. That's how it explains it. Thereby, you be to itself separate, is that of the one being that isn't, thereby to take up your own suffering and hang on to it, that which you think is life is death. Thereby you are new in every moment unto itself and being that is one. Thereby it is to that which is being or not is of itself. Thereby it is not of itself, or it is not for itself, but I am. So it's not, source is not just for itself, which is one, but is for all. So it is not for itself that I am source, that I am serving. It is to that which is of the masses, right? Which is to be observed, accepted, right? So source isn't just here for one person, one way, one situation. It's here for everybody and everything in all ways, right? Thereby it is that which is being now, not that which is of its righteousness. Thereby I am of him to that which is being for the right reasons, meaning there is nothing wrong with the way that things are. Is your justification that is wrong unto itself to that which you think it is, that isn't, which is the way you see it from, which is in him, that is being separate from, right? So you're the you're the one that's judging everything. Source isn't, source didn't make it one way because it wants, I'm going to put it this way, it wants all, because it's what's coming to me, it wants all of its children to come home. So there's many avenues, many ways, ways of connecting to source. There's not just one way of connecting to source, right? It's through different ways because we're all from a different place in our evolution. And so what works for one isn't going to work for another, right? And when you try to judge and bring another person into your way, you're taking them off their path, right? So that's why religion doesn't work. Because you're trying to teach somebody to be of one way. Source has its own way to bring you. And if you're focused on other people bringing you, you're bringing yourself to them. You're not bringing yourself to source, right? Right? And so there's nothing wrong with the way things are. It is your justification of that it is wrong unto itself to that which is the way you see it by, which is in him, to being separate. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're being, that you're from that space, you're in judgment of, right? There's no judgment beyond ourselves. Thereby, it is not about the self, it is about the way that it is being, that you are being to you, not yourself, for you are of them unto itself, to bring itself unto them, to that which is, that they are, which is the right being, right? So allow yourself to be basically what I kind of just said. When you're wanting other people to bring you, and connect you to source, you're following them. You're not following your own divine connection that you were given. Everybody's been given their own way to connect to source, right? And so you just have to find that. And that's basically what that kind of was saying, in the way that the book says it. Thereby it is not by you that they be, but by you that you are, which is in of itself being right, not left, for you are of them as I am unto you, meaning I am of them as I am unto you, which is both equal unto itself. And a lot of people think, well, I don't want to say that, but basically it's saying it's all equal, right? It's all equal to who you are, where you are, and what source brings to you, right? And so what you're creating, everything is equal, everything is fair. We'll just put it that way. Right? And so, yeah, unto you to you as you are, which is right where you are. So wherever we're on the path, sorry, this is where we're being led from, right? So source is equal unto us all, right? Person isn't lesser of source than you are, right? And they aren't more than source than you are. We're all the same. We're all equal, right? In that way. It's cold weather's getting my chest here. Thereby it is that which I am, thereby it is that which is I am. It has a right to be who they are, not as you are in your way, for I didn't create it, I as in source, for I did not create to be your way, which is one way, but the way of the universe. Okay? So again, talking about everybody has their own way, right? And so nobody's lost. We just think they are. It's our own judgment to think because somebody's doing one thing that's not our way, or it should be done in our way, doesn't mean it's wrong, right? Which is left. Thereby the universal teaching is unto them as it is unto you, but you think it is the right way from the wrong, which is wrong thinking, meaning they are many ways unto me, which is source, for I am of all beings unto itself that knows itself, which is the way for them. So it's your own divine connection, as I know it for me, which is you. Thereby we all have our own way of being true to ourselves, which is the way home. Thereby your ignorance is unto itself to think it isn't, that I don't have a plan, meaning I am source of you as I am source of them, which is equal to bringing them home, for you are not of them, which is their guardian, only that which is the layham. Thereby is by that which is right, that is unto them to see of it, that is the light for you of the dark to that which is them, that's not of its own light, right? So we shouldn't be teaching and preaching to other people on how to do something or go somewhere or be something or connect to source, only ourselves. We can share our knowledge and wisdom, but we have to let them be of their own selves, right? Thereby I am, and that of I am is the light to its own. Thereby it is that which is right unto itself to that which is in him, for they can't get there from there to which you are. So where you are, another person isn't going to be where you are, because again, everybody and everything is different. Your experience is different, and so it might be a minute difference, but it's not going to be the same thing, right? So because everybody's going to have a different experience of everything, no matter what it is. So if you go to a movie, one person's going to have one experience to another because of our background, our understanding, our knowledge, our wisdom, how we respond and act to everything. Just as if we're doing a meditation, a guided meditation, everybody's going to have a different experience. And I've observed that from my own teachings on meditations for people in groups, right? So everybody has a different experience from that. So just because you find source, or enlightenment in your own way, you can be guidance to them to help them guide them, but you can't do it for them. It's been set up that way that you can't do it for them. You can't make them, you can't force them. Because when we do that, we're putting energy that separates them, right? So we're actually hurting them, in that way. It's just letting guidance be, give them the knowledge and let them use it and seek it out and find it for themselves, right? And it may not work for them. That's why a lot of things don't work for certain people, whereas other things do. Everybody has their own way and their own guidance, and it's just going within and finding it within yourself, right? Thereby I am, and that of I am is the light to its own. Thereby it is that which is right unto itself to that which is in him that we have to seek. For they cannot get there from there to which you are, right? So you're of your own, right? Thereby it is by that which is to follow the light by its own star to that which I have given, meaning you have your own star, which is your own light to follow, your own guidance, right? That's your guidance, your higher self, your star, right? So follow the light by its own star. For each one that I have been given have their own star to follow, that which is within him, meaning I made it present within them, which is in him, not HIM, but him, resonance, to its being, to that it just trying to find it. Thereby it is that which is for all that I am being, not for one, but for all, for I am not of one way, you are. So you're only unto your own self, which is your way of doing things, which is your practice, your being, your experience, your journey, your path. And another's is another, because there's nothing that's the same, even though we're all one on many different levels. Thereby I am of all, as always, to that which is the light shining upon you, to that which is shining within you, is for you to have the right to be where it is that you are, not to say I. Thereby to say I, which is myself, Laura person, not I am, which is okay to say, I am my person. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's the way. And sometimes we need to experience who we are as a person, the human form, in order to see that what isn't and then what is, right? So to be able to make our own judgment or decisions and choices based on that, which is the screen that we're seeing, that we're playing out in the world around us. Okay, so it's not this, so it's this, right? And we're making our own contemplation, our own decisions in our own way through life, right? Through this, by observing, okay, this this is leading me, into a place I don't want to be, so this is not the way, right? So choose a difference, right? So we're choosing of a different way. Thereby to say I is okay, not I am, for I am is of him, to being one that is connected, not separate of itself, right? So to say I, which as I, myself, Laura, is okay to say I, It's not I am. Not to saying that you can't say I am, as in source, because you are. It's just saying it's okay to say I, as in being in your person. It's okay to be who you are, right? In the moment of your personhood and acceptance, if you're going through trauma, if you're going through turmoil, suffering, lack, it's okay to be who you are where you are. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we have to understand and be okay with that and see other people, it's okay for them to be where they are because they're working it out, right? They're the only ones that can. And we can't do it for them. We can just help and guide them, but we can't do it for them. Nobody can do it for anybody. And so it's okay. That's what it's basically saying. It's not saying that we're not to say, I am source, because we are, but in our personhood, we're not. And it's okay to be where we are, where we are. For I am is of him, to being one that is connected, not separate of itself. Thereby I keep you near to that which is, right? So source isn't far because we are source. Thereby I am that which is not, that isn't, which is by itself being one too, that we know. We only know what we know. Thereby it is that which you are not being, for nothing is that isn't, meaning everything is, even at its space of not being. Which, so, and there, everything is existing. There's nothing that isn't existing, which talks about it in another part of the book. Everything exists, even though it's not. So anything that isn't existing is still existing, only we don't see it. So it still exists as it is existing, as it is not, which means something that is not is still there. It's still existing as not existing, right? If that makes sense. And you just think about that, contemplate that. So even though it's not existing, doesn't mean it's not. It just means that it's existing as not. For everything is. Okay? Thereby it is that which you are not being, for nothing is, meaning you have meaning unto itself to being where it is that you are, which is of the current moment of its creation. Thereby the reason for that which is suffering or not is by that which it is being unto itself, to see that which is or is not of itself. Thereby to determine itself is by its own witness, for you are of your own being unto that which is creating by ways. Thereby to be of it unto itself in him too that is being, that is which you are being to yourself, not I, which is in him, H-Y-M-N, not him as in man, because it's not gender-based, this book. For I am of him to source, which is the relation, not the related, which is in him to being the line. So whatever choice you're taking is the line, is your path that you're on, right? Thereby the truth is being who you are, which is in him, that which lays within, not without, for you are the star that you are hanging on your hat on. Meaning, are you in your personhood, or are you in alignment with source, right? Which one are you being? Thereby it is to that which you are being, for nothing that isn't that is separate, meaning you make way too much of it than what it really is when you are seeing it from that point of view. Thereby it is that which is being the one too, that is of itself, for one, for all, for we all see of our own being, which is the way through. There, meaning I am of myself unto itself new, which is the being of one to that which is knowing of itself that didn't. So, and it keeps just going on, and I'm going to end it there. But basically, that's the gist of this little clip that I wanted to share with you. And it's it's okay. The last part here is just saying, again, it's just okay to be who we are and accept ourselves and everybody else for who they are, and as they're going through their journey and their path. And that's the way through. Our way through is through our own selves, right? Basically. And it's being okay with that and how we're navigating it, because even being, and that's part of it, it's seeing that what is it, because there is everything that, okay, so everything exists as it is, right? Which is truth by source, right? The way it was created and the way that it is. And then there's the delusion, right? So sometimes we got to step in the delusion to see that it isn't, so we know that what is, right? So it's okay to step away from the path to know and to learn and to experience from that, to gain the knowledge and wisdom from our perspective in order to know the difference from what is perspective of source, right? To gain the knowledge. Um, because if you look at yourself and your own journey, are you the same person that you were before? Right? No, you've gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom and experience, right? And so you've learned a lot from that. So you've gained knowledge and wisdom from before until now. But it's having that awareness and to start waking up and to understand, you know, how it is, in the experience for you. And again, everybody is different and separate, have their own journey and their own path, their own way, which was given by source. But when you're following other people, it brings you to being lost of yourself because you're gaining um, reliance and trust on other people, not yourself. And when you do that, you're becoming further separate of your own divine connection. So instead of just accepting what is given to you, taught to you, shown to you, question, right? And I had that little discussion this morning, right? A lot of us come into this world and we just accept what's handed down, what's passed down, and we don't ask questions. Or we've grown up in families where, like I did, children shouldn't be seen and heard, go to your room, don't ask questions, shut up, don't express your emotions, your feelings, or I'm going to beat you. And so we just accept and we live life from that perspective. But when we break out of that, we want to break that shell, right? We want to come into where we're asking questions, we're seeking, we're finding, and following our own inner guidance. We don't want to be in this little nutshell because it's kind of like what we're experiencing. If we don't shed that, we kind of stay in that space, right? And so from like my experience, like I was in that space where I wasn't able to do that. But even in that space, I was observant and I was aware that, things aren't quite right, if that makes sense. Um, and so as I've progressed through life, shedding all that, and coming into the connection that I found with myself here, where I'm able to do what I'm doing, it's kind of shedding the past. We don't just want to accept, what's being taught to us and handed down or passed down to us. We should always question and then allow ourselves to turn in to find our own path, we'll say. All right, if you have any questions, that's the clip for today. I'll do another one clip for next week and do some more journaling, for the book here over the week. And then I have a couple other videos here for you, and one on experience, and that actually just happened this week. But that's the clip for the book here, and I don't want to get off topic and just start rambling because I'm going down that path. But yeah, if you have any questions on this clip or anything you want to share, put down in the comments. Just be mindful how you're putting it, because everybody's allowed to have their own, expression. If it resonates, that's fine. If it doesn't, if it does or it doesn't, that's fine. It's not going to resonate with everybody, and it's not going to be from where you are. You have your own path. If it doesn't, that means, either you're not ready or you need to follow a different path, or you need to find something else, because not everything is going to resonate with you. But if it does, great. If you want to make a comment or experience and share some information below, how it relates to you or anything like that, feel free to do that. Just, again, be kind in your words and respectful, because it is a public domain and everybody gets to share, how they are experiencing things or their knowledge and wisdom. But yeah, happy journeys. If you have any questions, want to book individual sessions, I do them online, like through Zoom or over the phone. So I can have sessions, pretty much with anybody for coaching, spiritual guidance. I do some readings. So if you wanted to book a reading, I can do that as well. But I do coaching and things like that. So, all right. Well, happy journeys. Have a great day.